early entry program and kindergarten registration is open now for the 2022-23 school year.
We can't wait to meet our new friends. Register today.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regularly scheduled board meeting for Monday, May 9th, 2022. I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. And I would ask that we begin this evening by calling on Trustee Hoffman to provide us with the land designation and prayer this evening, please.
We would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of Treaty 8 territory and the homelands of the Métis people. We recognize the land on which we stand as the ancestral land of the Indigenous peoples and is common home to everyone in virtue of God, our Creator's gracious gift. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, in your gospel today you tell us that you call each of us by our name, and that those who belong to you are able to hear and recognize your voice. We ask for the grace we need as Catholic educators to hear that voice of our shepherd, leading us, guiding us, and challenging us. Lead us not into error, but keep us on the path that leads to you. We thank you for the gift to be able to bring your name into our classrooms and boardroom. Grant that we may never be shy or ashamed of everything we have received through your abundant generosity. We ask for a special blessing on all of our students about to graduate, that your Holy Spirit will be with them as they study and write exams. Forgive us for the times we failed you, and we ask that you give us true contrition and trust in your mercy. Lead us always deeper into your truth, that we might know it, love it, and serve it. We pray this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Trustee Hoffman. We move now to the adoption of the agenda. If there are no changes or additions, I would ask for someone to move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Trustee Hoffman. We move now to the adoption of the minutes of our regularly scheduled board meeting of April 4th, 2022. We have had an opportunity to review the minutes, and I would ask for, if there are no changes, omissions, or errors, if someone could please adopt the minutes as presented.
I move to adopt the minutes of our regular board meeting on April 4th, 2022.
Thank you, Trustee Hidden. We move now, I will now pass it off to Superintendent McGuigan with respect to board presentations. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I must send regrets for Trustee Galanzowski. She is traveling this evening and unfortunately was not able to be home in time to attend. And our Deputy Superintendent, Natasha MacArthur-Poole, unfortunately is off ill today. And now I'm going to move it on to Superintendent McGuigan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pleased tonight we have a couple of salute to excellence to present to you. And first up, I'll introduce Principal James Park of St. Martha's School to introduce and tell a little bit about his student.
So this is Josiah. Josiah is becoming quite the celebrity in our community and on social media. Josiah started with our Indigenous liaison, Rob Nelson, doing braiding presentations, hair braiding presentations to students. It started, the genesis of it was in a few boys questioned in the bathroom why there was, and you correct me, Josiah, if this is wrong, why there may have been a girl in the bathroom. So he took it upon himself that he wanted to educate others about why he has braids, and that many boys do have braids, and through his teachings, our students have learned that the significance of braiding with boys, And Josiah, just recently, I believe you had your first haircut, was that correct?
No,
Was that the
no,
first one?
no,
Okay.
he's never ever cut his hair before.
Oh, okay, I thought we had a little trim of the braids there because you had lost someone in your family.
No, we didn't cut his
Oh,
hair.
okay.
They were closer to me than
Oh,
Josiah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm not gonna talk for him, Josiah, you wanna talk to, our people here, cause you are quite the, little speaker.
I'd like to do.
You do whatever you want.
Like what? I don't know.
You tell our trustees and our board here about what you did with their classes, when you went into the classrooms.
And Josiah, you can stand up or sit or whatever you want to do, whatever makes you comfortable.
You've been sharing your knowledge and educating your peers, teaching them why it's important for our people to have long hair and braids.
Maybe do you wanna just explain why you do have braids for everyone here?
Yeah, I might.
You can say what you say in your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember of it all the time.
Okay, well, why do you have long hair?
To be closer to one's ancestors, we keep our hair long for people who came before us and those who couldn't have long hair. So future generations can have connection, I think.
Yeah, connections to our people and the creative.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we have seen you on social media, of all things. I actually watched online a presentation that you did at Ecole St. Paul School. And I was so impressed with the way that you stood up there and talked to all those other kids and explained some of the history and the reason why it's so important for you to have your braids. And I might have cried a little bit because it was really impactful to me as a trustee to see. It's always impactful when the children are teaching the other children, but in your case, you're not just teaching other kids, you're teaching adults as well. And it's your impact and the positiveness that you bring to our school division. We can't thank you enough for that. We're very impressed with you, young man. And we'd like to just give you this as a small token of our appreciation. This is a certificate of excellence from the school board. Would you be willing to come up here and get it from me? Would that work for you?
Yes.
And a picture?
Take pictures.
Yeah?
By all
Come up
means.
here to me. Thank you. So here it is. It just says that the Catholic Board of Education awards a salute of excellence to Josiah Cardinal in special recognition for sharing his Indigenous hair teachings with classes in several schools in our school division. And this is for you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Mama, because it's apparent that you are doing an amazing job. And does anybody else have anything they'd like to?
I seen a little bit as well, Josiah, and I think it's so important to be proud of your heritage and your culture. And one of the things I'm trying to do is try to come back to learn about my language in Denning as well. So it's really important to share and also just remember the people before us and then the people in the future. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, 8.2, next up, I'd like to introduce to you Father Augustine, pastor at St. John's Parish, and he has a few words he wants to say in recognition of our next Salute to Excellence. So, Father Augustine, I'll turn it directly over to yourself.
Is it okay if I stay here?
Yes.
I'm not used to speaking like this, that's why. Yeah. Board Chair Kathy, trustees, George McWigan, the superintendent, and Mr. Boyd, and all of you present here. It's a privilege, and actually I'm honored to be here this evening because something which we as Catholic Parish in Fort McMurray couldn't do, you guys are doing it today. You wanted to recognize and honor Mr. Boyd, who has been like the backbone of our parish, maybe I would say since 2016. I think he made a mistake in 2016 by retiring from the good job that he had, which was a paid job, by the way. And then in 2017 Christmas, am I right, Boyd? In 2017 Christmas, right after the fire which we had in town, the wildfire, there was a little fire in the church under the altar. There was a bulb that was connected to the crib set, the nativity scene, and that bulb was really warm and hot, and it was touching the carpet. So right before the start of the Mass on that Christmas Eve at 6 p.m.-ish, I think, there was a little bit of smoke coming out. There was a foul smell initially, and then there was some smoke coming out, and then everyone was kind of like panicked, and then we were looking around what is going on. Then Boyd shoots up from the pew somewhere at the back of the church. Since then, he has not sat down quietly. That is the truth. That's the truth, because Father Andrew got him as the volunteer maintenance coordinator, and then right after his retirement, he was put to work. And I think in the companies, they hire you for like maybe 12 hours a day max, or 13 or 14. Here it is 24/7 without pay. And Boyd's been doing an excellent job with all that. And then came the flood in 2020. That again gave him a kick in the back, I think, and until then he was walking around doing stuff. Then on he started running around. He had to, because it was a lot of work. Of course, the school board, Francois will testify to what I'm saying, has been really helping us too with lots of materials like chairs and tables or whatever. To move the pews in the church, to change the carpet, he had to borrow several hundreds of scooters and things like that during the vacation time. And it was rather single-handedly that Boyd did a lot of work which saved us thousands of dollars. But dollar value is one thing, but his commitment and dedication and love for the church and the community at large is something amazing, and you guys are witnesses to that. Today, when I'm here to say a few words about appreciating him, I also should not forget that we worked together for some time, and then this beautiful thing happened that we could work from home. And we worked better when we were working from home. That is, he stays in the church and I stay at home. That's how it all went on. But he's not only just a capable organizer of things, a very good coordinator for maintenance works. Boyd was even more to me personally. He's been a very good friend of mine since I came here to Fort McMurray, and since I got to know him. He's been really a great friend, and our friendship over the time developed into lots of maturity because we were never on the same page. I always say that. We were never on the same page regarding different things, but that never broke our friendship and the good bond that we built. Opinions would stay at opinion level, and as individuals, we would always respect one another, and still he does the work at church, and I'm so proud of that, and I'm so grateful to you and to your family, and all the people who are associated with you, volunteering their time and talent for the church. Now, there is something more than that. When Boyd wanted to take a getaway vacation with his family, there was one condition for him to leave town. His cell phone had to be on, and anytime I texted him, he had to respond. Only on fulfillment of those conditions, he would even take a getaway vacation even with his family, sometimes even to Florida. I demanded that he keeps his text alerts on, and which he has been faithfully doing. Boy, we as a parish and the Catholic Church in Fort McMurray, not only just St. John's Church downtown, but also St. Paul's Parish, Thickwood, we are so indebted to you. We thank you for your unassuming personality, your commitment, your dedication, and something that, as I said in the beginning, the parish did not still do. I'm so thankful to the school board for recognizing him, for honoring him this evening, and I'm privileged to be part of that. Thank you so much, and thank you, Boyd, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. All right, not really sure how I follow up on that. Mr. Rumbold, on behalf of the Fort McMurray Catholic School Division, we would like to thank you. It is very apparent you are the epitome of a servant leader. And in the world of education, education comes in many different forms. I particularly liked what Father said about you having differences of opinions and yet still managing such an amazing friendship. And I think if that's one thing that we as a division can instill in our children, that the world is just going to continue and it being a better place. And what you've done for our division, we cannot thank you enough. Through the parish, it feeds into the schools, and so we would like to thank you on behalf of all of us for your dedicated service to the parish and to Fort McMurray. And so we offer you this salute to excellence to Boyd Rumbold, special recognition for the incredible work you have done for St. John's Parish restoration after the 2020 flood and the fire.
Yes.
And the and the day-to-day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Father Augustine. That was a beautiful message. Oh, and if I can, while you're here, because unfortunately I will be away next weekend, I would just like to say thank you on behalf of our division for your service to our community.
Thank you.
And you will be sorely missed, and hope we get a chance to chat with you this week. Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Does anyone else have anything they want to share?
Yeah, 2 words, and I can't really follow up too much. But boy, you're a gift to our parish. You know, sometimes it can be hard to find strong men as examples, and so you are seen. Your commitment is seen. Your example of Christian service is seen. And I know you're not looking for recognition ever. You know, St. Thomas Aquinas says that it's okay, though, to celebrate the virtues because they act as like a flag that says that there's something here worth emulating. So thank you for the strength of your character and setting a true example. I'll stop.
Thank you both very much, and feel free after your presentation, if you're free to leave. As we all know, you all have very many commitments.
I have to help Father Pack. That's the bittersweet part of this. I would say that what I'm most proud of is the work that we did together to redecorate, rebuild the church during the flood. For those who haven't seen, the main floor of the church and the beautiful work in the sanctuary and the ideas from Father Augustine that we were able to put into place, that's what he will take home with him, and I hold in my heart. Thank you.
Very beautiful, thank you.
Madam Chair, next up under 8.3, I'll introduce Principal Lisa Hilson-Tagger of Holy Trinity High School to introduce her team and her school presentation.
Right. Okay, good evening, trustees, Madam Chair. Thanks for having us here tonight. We have a lot in our slideshow, but we're not going to do every single slide, just so that you know. You asked for, about 15 minutes. We'll try and stick it to that. But everything is in there because it's really hard to actually go through school goals in 15 minutes and get a clear picture of all that we do, especially in a large high school. So it's in there, and if you find yourself one evening where you're having trouble sleeping, I'm sure you can call this up and start reading it. So just a little bit, to start out sort of our historical context of our school. When I went there in 2016, we focused on staff wellness at the time and rebuilding our community and of course data collection so that we knew who the students were in our building and how to program for the students who come to Holy Trinity every single day. So what that came out as, I'm not sure, Mr. Gagnon, do you want me to let you know when to? Let you know? Okay.
Vanessa has the control.
Vanessa, all the control, good. All right, so we can move on to the next one here as well. We'll go through them quickly, but out of that came a vision of push, pull, and drag, which sort of became our model for our students because we do believe that all students can be successful, except they do often need to be pushed, pulled, and dragged sometimes to that finish line. And so we looked at 4 core pillars, and so everything that we do really comes out of these 4 core pillars, and all of our goals fit into them in some way, shape, or form. So our Catholicity, a community of collaboration, relationship building, and our teaching excellence. So the next few slides really are all about the things that we have done so far, and one of the biggest things was establish our English language learning program and added our sheltered classes and to support all of our students who come to us every day. And then we had our learning commons that we had established to support those students who find it a little more difficult to fit into a structured classroom. Out of all of that, we were collecting our data. We did start our STAR reading long before it was happening in the division. We started our MIPI for our numeracy so that we knew where our students were sitting. You can keep going here, Vanessa. We had developed some more final assessments that were more meaningful, and we were starting to tap into what our elementary students were bringing to us when they came to us into grade 7. We wanted to maintain that continuity of literacy where they had their portfolios and they were being leveled at their reading, and we wanted to make sure that that followed through with them, and we were even bringing it all the way up into the high school. So as a result, we were had expanded our balanced literacy program, and we were starting with our literature circles and really collecting all of that data for moving forward. Of course, then COVID happened, and we then had no data basically for a couple of years. So we can go through on this one. But we continued to broaden all of our courses that we had at Holy Trinity, making sure that we had CTS electives for our students, and of course we were implementing various courses for our high school just to keep them entertained and engaged while they were coming to our school. So then when we come down to, let's keep going here, I just don't want to do all of this, keep going, one more, here we go. So when we came to 2021 and 2022, here we were. How do we rebound from all of this? And we recognized that we had 5 years of trauma recovery and that we were getting back to the basics. We were trying to focus on reflective practices for our teachers and examining our impact and falling into the teaching excellence. So we had actually surveyed all of our staff and our students to find out what it was that they had needed in order to rebound and get our students back to it. We looked at the tiered approach, looked at our school district goals, our working groups, our PGPs, professional learning communities. How could we tie all of that together? And out of that survey, we had our staff had said these are the areas that they felt that they needed the most support on, because in order to do a good job, they wanted to have that information so that they could bring it to their students. So we came up with our diversity, equity, and inclusion, certainly our Catholicity, Indigenous education, our literacy and numeracy, which tied into our pillar of teaching excellence. So that's where we came up with our assurance model goals for this year. And then I have with us Miss Connie Farrell, and she is one of our VPs for grade 8 and 11, and she's going to talk about diversity and inclusion.
So this year at Holy Trinity, one of our big goals was to help students see themselves within the school and also to help students feel like they belong. And so one of the things that we did is work on our own goals within the school. And so the 4 things that we looked at for diversity and inclusion then was building teacher capacity and understanding of the cultural diversity within Holy Trinity, looking at the TQS5 and how do we support teachers with that, because we want to make sure that they're complying to their legal obligations within the province. Also creating safe places for all students, for example, our GSA students or Indigenous students, that they feel welcomed and belong, and also creating a more visible BIPOC presence in the hallways in school. So we did a lot this year with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit education. And so we started in the beginning with breaking apart the TQS5 and having teachers look at that and really evaluating where their curriculum and their role as teachers fit within that. And we used the Pebbles resource, and then we brought in a lesson where we first taught the teachers about Treaty 8, and we bought flags for every classroom for Treaty 8, and we had the teachers then teach the students on Treaty 8. And then we did the same with Métis, the Métis flag as well, and we had that become a part of the everyday classroom where students see that. So then we did a smudging lesson where our Indigenous liaison taught the staff about the importance of smudging and the teachings behind smudging. And then as a whole group, we participated in that. And we did the same with braiding sweetgrass as well. And then we purchased books on Indigenous education, ranging from novels to informative botany and stuff like that. And the teachers got to pick which one that they liked, and it became a part of their Christmas gift that we gave them, that we were extending their own personal education in Indigenous learning. Then we also did some bannock making to work as a group, but also the teachings behind bannock and why that was important. So nothing was a tokenistic kind of, it wasn't tokenism, it was more about, sometimes it wasn't a fireworks, but it was about keeping that campfire going, I guess, right? That we were constantly having conversation this year. And then our wellness day also included beading and stuff, which we're doing tomorrow. Actually, our students will be engaged in some of that. So the Indigenous liaison, actually, I just asked her this week, what did she feel was really good or bad about this year with our Indigenous approach? And she said her priority has always been about awareness. And she said she felt this year there was so much awareness that we were moving beyond just those little moments and making a part of who we are, and she felt that the students were really becoming aware as well, teachers and students. So if we look at this big list, and this is just a small part of some of the things that we did between Orange Shirt Day, we celebrated, or not celebrate, but we recognized that and brought acknowledgement to that. And then we sold cookies, but we did prayers with Indigenous focus. We had in-class lessons again on residential schools. So everything is circled around education of teachers and education of students. So then also, to just jump back, even this past week, with our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirited, sorry, I said that wrong. We had like a whole school walk. We did, we had a teacher that took it upon herself to build a red dress, having students create squares, do traditional beading in that, and just lots of learning. But what I loved about what's happening is that teachers now are approaching us because of their comfort level. Like they're coming and saying, hey, I want them to do this, I have this great idea, and we're really, really seeing it. So that's been awesome to move to that level. But like I said, take some time and look at that if you get a chance, but everything from land-based learning to, like I said, whether it was small events or taking pledges, there's been lots going on. And we brought in Aboriginal Studies as well as a course in our school. So, and lots of art electives as well. So then we have where we see in this slide to do with student perception. And so we have like, I can't read the numbers, my eyesight is kind of bad here, but around 80% of our students are saying that they are learning about the histories and legacies of Indigenous students or peoples, and that they're satisfied with the electives that they're offered, but and that they're learning about the truth and reconciliation. We still see that as a need, but at least we're seeing that 70% or so of the students are feeling that they are learning about it. So still areas to grow, but in any case. And I'd like to introduce Julie. She's another VP at our school, and she'll talk about this.
So post-COVID, or I guess can we say we're post-COVID, we're coming out of COVID. We've really focused on connections and relationships. That's one of the biggest things that we've lost when the kids went home and we were home. So we really dove deep into diversity, inclusion, and really allowed the students to have a really huge say on what we do in terms of the school. So in addition to the Indigenous education that we did, we also focused quite a bit on diversity flags. So if you walk into our school, you can see different kinds of countries represented. We've had wellness days to allow our students to feel connected. And we did a lot in the Black Lives Matter as well with the Black History Month. We looked at, we had a couple of guest speakers. KG Banjoko was one of them. She did some staff PD as well as student PD. Of course, we also did the division PD as well. Can I get you to flip that? We surveyed our students and asked them what they wanted to see, and we tried to incorporate all of their ideas. We did a pledge wall, and you can see there the flags that we have. We get a lot of comments from our new students and lots of our students who look for their own flags in their countries. We put together a pledge wall. We've had cultural days where they've come in traditional clothing. We've had a food day in terms of the Black History Month. We did, so in some of our announcements, we had some teachings involved in there. We talked about microaggressions, and then we had a little trivia at the end of the month where some students won some prizes. And we had prayers that reflected our Black History Month. We played music in the morning that reflected their culture. So it allowed for students to feel really connected. We did get quite a bit of a feedback from our students during that month especially. They really enjoyed it, and they wanted a lot more cultural days so that they could teach each other about each other's cultures. We also did quite a bit for staff development and students in terms of inclusivity. So we had Joel present to our teachers on how to read the WR reports. We looked at a couple presentations on the UDL, universal supports for our teachers. We did a lot with differentiation in the classroom so that we had our students our teachers making sure that differentiation was permeating throughout the classroom. We also, our leadership team put together her students, Ms. Wilkie's students, and they spent some time with our SILP students, and then they put together a presentation so that all students in the building would look at, student the different students that we have in the SILP program, and so that we were learning and teaching about each other. We also have regular morning announcements. We look at the GSA, we did transgender awareness, again, the KG Banjoko presentation, and then the flags that I just talked about, and of course our Pride Week as well. So we did quite a bit in terms of presentation in the building and presentation with our teachers to make sure that it was happening in the classrooms and the students saw themselves and they felt that they were a large part of our school. And then I'll hand it over to Kelly.
So, as Julie and Connie and Lisa were all saying, we really focused heavily this year on our inclusivity, our Black Lives Matters, our Indigenous education, and this is what our teachers were screaming for. But we also focused on our literacy and numeracy. So prior to the pandemic, as Lisa had said when she was speaking, just before, we had a really strong focus on literacy and numeracy, and we were making really great gains with all the data that we had collected. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and not that we want to blame it on COVID, but it changed a lot of what we think and know about education, and teachers were doing a phenomenal job with teaching at home, but it was different. So the rigor of our literacy and numeracy has changed. We're trying to get back to that rigor, so the students excel and have 1 year of growth that we're looking for within their literacy and their numeracy. We're currently building that back into our programs, and we're using star reading as one of our assessment tools. We're using it this year specifically to build our targeted supports. So every student from grade 7 to 12 did a star reading assessment at the beginning of the school year, and from that data we collected, we were able to target the support for the students. We focused on middle school for the most part because we saw the gaps there were the largest, and we figured we could get down to the foundational level with them quicker. So we were able to pull support for literacy, and students in grade 7, mostly grade 7 and 8, have the ability to go to some targeted support groups for their specific skills that they're learning in literacy. Also with the star reading, the teachers had a lot of professional development on it, and they were able to use the star reading results to be able to guide the practice within their classroom and really work smarter, so they can recognize perhaps the gaps that the students have and focus their instruction specifically on those, and the things that majority of the students perhaps had great gains in, they might be able to change what they were doing in the class. We're doing similar things with our MIPI as well. We've been doing MIPI for years, but we're diving a bit deeper into it this year, so the teachers are able to recognize some skills that students might need to develop from our MIPI results, as well as conversations with the classroom teacher. We have a snapshot of what the students in our classroom know prior to doing all the lessons. So we have a great snapshot of that, and we were able to this year develop a numeracy intervention, so focused mainly on grade 8 and 9. So we have numeracy intervention for those students, and we use Numeracy Nets, which is a phenomenal resource that builds upon foundational knowledge and breaks down the skills that the students are struggling with. We also, as Lisa had mentioned prior, our Ell Population. So we have a benchmark that our Ell educational assistant does for every new student who is an English language learner, so we can understand where they are in their language development, and based on that we can put supports in place so they can be successful in the classroom. And if they need that extra support, we'll be able to pull them out and help them with that. And hopefully then we will be able to rebound effectively and see that years of growth so we can see our students be successful. And now I think we're back to Ms. Hilson-Tager, who's going to discuss Catholicity.
And so all of our diversity and inclusion ties into our biggest pillar of our Catholicity, and it's who we are as Catholics, who we are, where we are in our 4 core values of valuing persons and sort of valuing community. And so our students, when they see all of this in our school, they know that we do care about them. And so with our Catholicity, I think it was just one more slide before that actually. Yeah, there we are. Again, focusing on what do the teachers want to know. And so in a lot of our PLF afternoons, we've been focusing on having meditations, and our chaplain, Mr. Paulson, we've walked the cross and we saw the school as actually as a cross, and he had various questions for us of who we are as teachers when we walk into our building. And so that at various spots in the school, he gave us some things to think about. He had an Alpha Club and of course a theology on tap that staff would participate in. It's kind of sort of died off right now, I'll be honest, just because it's getting a little bit busier and teachers aren't able to make it as often. But within the school, our ongoing weekly masses and monthly liturgies that our students have now once again taken up and with their teachers, they are prepping and planning for those. And of course our religion classes and the implementation of our growing in Christ and our 4th R. And we also had an Alpha Club that was put on at lunchtime for students to participate in. We had 100% of our Wednesday weekly masses are booked, so that's put out at the beginning of the year, and the teachers book their classes in, and they come down into our atrium and have a mass. And getting back to the classes that we're planning and leading the whole school liturgies, and of course our first one when we were back when we were able to finally come together as a school again, we did it as a teaching mass. And so where they were told, this is where you stand, and now stand, and this is what you say, and now say it, and here you are supposed to sing. And actually they came running out of there afterwards and they were like, Miss, were you in the liturgy? Were you in the liturgy? Did you hear us? We actually sang. And it was so nice because it had revitalized them again. And then you can see our parent responses there. I can't read the numbers either, but I see blue and green, and I know that's really good. So, so our parents, they do see our Catholicity in the school, and so that is very positive. And then the next one, this is from our students, and so while we still see some greens and a little bit of unsures, they do see that we are teaching them about Catholicity, and they do value it in our school. The oranges they're not quite sure where they're fitting in or how it pertains to them. So we do have a little bit of work on teaching them the 4 core values and how Catholicity is a part of enhancing their faith in the school.
What are the colors, what are the colors, like the legend breakdown for these?
Blue it was strongly agree. Then it was agree, and then the orange is unsure, yellow was disagree, and the red was strongly disagree.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Okay, and the next one. And so that, of course, all tied into our teacher growth plans at the beginning of the year. So we had a lot of our staff that participated in the RMWD 6-week challenge. As well, there was also a University of Alberta certification for Indigenous education. Quite a few of our staff have completed that. We've done inclusive learning in the classroom, our book clubs, and so the latest one was the thinking classroom in mathematics. A lot of them wanted to find out how to include more prayer in the day. We have it in the morning. We have a prayer that's a regular prayer, the same one that we use at the end of the day, and it's so nice. The students also have it memorized, so when we do the prayer at the end of the day, you can see them following along. But staff are putting more prayer into it, so making sure that at lunchtime and even before assessments that they were including prayer. They have daily devotional practices, and they have an Amen app that they also get. So our next steps, the one thing we weren't able to do, we had quite a few surveys that were happening here. So before the end of the year, we need to survey staff and students and do another check on where we were when we first brought all of these goals together. Of course, continuing with our star reading and MIPI. We'll use our accountability pillar and survey results, and of course, the PAT and diploma exam results for moving forward for next year. And the one thing that we noticed that we had missed was actually devising a parent survey. We have surveyed our parents in the past when we were looking at CTF electives. We did send a survey out to our parents and to our students to ask what they would like to see. But in terms of our assurance model, that's one of the things that we need to move forward on. And that's Holy Trinity. Oh, not quite 15 minutes, but. Oh, that's a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Just around the students, you said you had 1278. What was it a few years ago? Like, was it, like how many, you said the population of students increased by a lot?
It did, yeah. We were just hovering just over 1,000. I think when I first got there, not quite 1,100. We did get it up to over 1,200. We're back down to just below the 1,200 now. So it had, we had felt like it was, I always say we sort of put Holy Trinity on the map. Yeah.
I wrote down examples of how you make students feel inclusive, but as it progressed, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see that. So you answered through the presentation.
Perfect.
Well, as you know, I have a child who's a product of your school. It's exciting as always to see the plans and just to see how much is being done. We don't, obviously around this table, we don't, well, other than those two, we don't get to see on a day-to-day basis how much work you all do to provide the things outside of the language arts and math and sciences, right? The inclusion, the diversity, the Black Lives Matters, all of those things. It's just so exciting to see how much of that work is being done, right? That all of those things I think speak to Catholicity and what we do as Catholics. And so to see that, I mean, the math and the language arts obviously are very important for their learning going forth, but it's the other stuff that helps them to be the humans, right? Like that are leaving the building, and to see the amount of phenomenal work that you guys do day in and day out, even through COVID, all through, including through COVID. Yes. Yeah.
Well, we always say you need
very
to teach
much
the whole child, and so that's
Yeah.
part of the whole child. All right.
Yeah. So thank you all very much for all you do each and every day. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you for having us. All right.
Madam Chair, next up, under 8.4, I'll introduce Principal of Paula Mercury High School, Lisa Miller, to introduce her team and their school presentation.
So it's funny, Lisa and I joke, Holy Lisa and Father Lisa, that's how everyone knows us apart because of the names of our school. So Jamie's just handing out some fidgets here. This is there's a reminder there that our open house runs Thursday night. Holy Lisa, yours is Wednesday, right? So again, we're busy this week.
So the fidgets for your children, if you have them, and then that'll just be a little flyer.
You might
guys can come
have
and
to
join.
give Kelsey three.
Pardon?
You might need more.
Yeah.
But each, so you don't
I don't
start a
need more
fight
in my
at your
house.
house.
You guys want it?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Take them to the golf course. Yeah.
So, actually, Jamie said, can we just say ditto? Call it a night. And I said no. But so that we have a lot of similarities, and then we have some differences as well. And we celebrate both. So good evening to our board chair, Langmead, Trustee, Superintendent McGuigan, and everyone joining us here tonight. it is an honor and privilege to be here, as it always is, and share some of our highlights from our assurance plan for Father Mercady's school. Like Lisa said, we could talk for hours, and we would, because there are so many things, so many great things happening, like you said, that you see or don't see in all of our schools, but we don't have that time, so let's begin. Like Lisa said, we had a little bit of an explosion with students, so I think we're sitting at over about 1,356, and they keep coming because the community is growing. So of course, as George always said, and I was vice principal when George was principal, these are children of God, they're coming to us, we take them, period. Never forget it, and always will follow that rule. They were brought to us, God placed them with us, and it is our job to lead them, the whole child, to where they need to go. I want to introduce our team. We have Jamie McNeil. Jamie is currently VP for grades 7 and 10. We have Janice Slaney, who's VP for grades 8 and 11. Kirsten McConnell has 9 and 12, so she gets hit with PATs and diplomas. That's always a tough one. And of course, I'm Lisa Miller. I'm the principal. And my student umbrella encompasses the vocational education students and the outlying communities. So it's just easier if we stay in these areas, because you build a relationship with these students, you move with them, and that's the important part as well. You can't build a relationship in 1 year. It's a lifelong thing, actually, and we all know that because our students still contact us long after they're gone, and we remember them when they sat in our classroom. So of course, this is something that's very dear to our heart, and again, we follow. I don't. Anyway, tonight we're going to look at the next slide. We're going to look at our students put the slideshow together, and they always put the land acknowledgement on there. So they took the photo and they wrote this land acknowledgement. And we can repeat it, because of course we can never say it too much, that we are on Treaty 8 land, on which is our ancestral land of the Indigenous people, homeland of the Métis, and it's common home to everyone in virtue of God, our Creator's gracious gift. Those are our students' words. They were not fed to them, and they took the photo and put it, and it is powerful each and every day. So we created this little, well, I don't know if we did. Certainly I didn't, but the students did. And the assurance model is very exciting, because what used to be kind of told to us, now we have more control, I suppose, if that's how you want to look at it. But assurance model means everyone's working together. And sometimes we forget, we could put God in there too, of course, but we put the cross in the middle, because again, it is all of us, including our faith, that get us where we need to go. And the assurance model is actually what we consider an exciting tool from Alberta Learning, because it builds public trust and grows confidence in our education system that we're meeting the needs of the students and the community. And we need everyone to see that. It is more of a bottom-up approach. And we're excited, like I said, at Father Mercady, because we want to show our Wood Buffalo community how we are performing each year. We want them to know, we want to share, we want to be transparent. We want to engage all our stakeholders and set our priorities and build our plan together. So again, the assurance model, what's so important about this tiny shift is that it works on continuous improvement. It's not a reaction to yearly results, but an ongoing review where we look and we are transparent, accountable, and a responsive education system, not a reactive, but a responsive to what they need from us and what our students need from us, because they are one of our greatest stakeholders along with the parents. So also, this very simple shift does something exceptional, which builds trust. You will go nowhere without trust. We can't teach our kids unless they trust us. Our parents need to trust us, and that's so important with this new model. Anyway, go ahead.
So we have two goals, literacy and numeracy goals. Each student reaches proficiency to the best of their ability in the areas of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. As well, for numeracy, each student reaches proficiency to the best of their ability in the areas of mathematical, reasoning, problem solving, applying numeracy knowledge, and concepts. We have measures for both literacy and for numeracy, so we just have a couple of graphics to show. This is an example of one of our STAR assessment reports. So the STAR is a standardized test for assessment of reading, and we use it to monitor the literacy levels to inform student programming and interventions. So we can use the reports to find out where the students are, meet them where they are in the classroom, and plan accordingly in order to pull them along and help them improve in literacy. We also have, the next slide just shows a little representation of the Math Intervention Programming Instrument, or the MIPI, which is used to assess and monitor the student growth in numeracy, and it helps guide our student programming interventions as well. In addition to those local measures, we also have the traditional methods, so grade 9 PAT results, grade 12 diploma results, high school completion rates, as well as the provincial and our divisional satisfaction surveys that we do with the parents and the students. And that all gives us a big picture of what we're doing in literacy and numeracy. When we did our STAR reading assessment, we had all the teachers complete the STAR in various disciplines so that they felt part of the process. As well, we make sure that they're using that data to guide their planning and their instructional practice in the classroom. So it's not just the English teachers that are teaching literacy, it's all the teachers. It's not just the math teachers that are helping with numeracy. We have all of our teachers recognizing where numeracy falls in their daily duties as well. So as Ms. Miller mentioned, we believe that transparency is key to gaining the trust of our stakeholders, which include our students and our parents, and we want to make sure that they're satisfied with the education that they receive from us. So this final slide shows some of the parent survey results, and we're still going through that as we move through our PLF Fridays. And this does show some positive results, as you can see. But we believe that as we continue through our PLC Plus process, and our teachers are really digging into the data for their classrooms and they're using it for their planning, that we can, and we share it with the students and families, we can see great gains in these areas. And I have a brief, the next slide, a brief explanation of how this works at our school.
Oh, you press the button behind you, that's a sound
Oh,
on
we
top
need
of.
sound.
Press that.
Sorry, Vanessa, we didn't tell you.
Blessing. I had the opportunity to pilot some data sharing with my families. Our students complete a literacy assessment several times a year that we as teachers use to inform our practice. This data from these assessments has not been shared in the past, so we invited families in for a literacy evening and we shared what the information means, how we as teachers use it, and why it's so important for future planning that students work on this literacy goal. We provided some resources for families to use at home that will help improve their child's literacy, and my teaching partner joined, and although she is a math and science teacher, she shared how literacy relates to numeracy and how improving in literacy helps in other subject areas. In my classroom, my partner teacher helps me to infuse numeracy into my practice, and it is a great learning for everyone, and it is further supported by our PLC Plus work.
Okay. And now my colleague, Ms. McConnell, is going to speak with you about her work with our graduates and maintaining our excellent completion rates.
Thank you. So certainly literacy and numeracy feed into those graduation rates. In our previous work with the accountability framework, we'd indicated that success depends on, of course, good teaching in a safe environment where students feel respected. So when students are central to our daily work, we know that they are more engaged as stakeholders. Our school plan the past few years was to continue to monitor assessments like the MIPI and the STAR, as Mr. McNeil was sharing, so that we can do earlier intervention to increase our student successes, leading, of course, to more improved graduation rates. And we are very proud of our graduation rates, and Holy Trinity should be as well. We're working to encourage collaboration between divisions for sustainable growth. So we've tried to improve our communication to families and make sure that that grade 9 to 10 transition is strong, because we know that sets the stage for high school. As an admin team, we've worked hard to improve that piece of communication and have more engagement with families. We right now have 247 students who are tracking to graduate this June, and 39 students who are Indigenous will be graduating with us. These numbers would be the students who are coming to us in-house to do on-site schooling. So our students who are attending Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic School will join us for graduation, and those numbers are not within the numbers I shared. We value our partnership with them and with Holy Trinity, because we know that we often at times will share some of those students and some of those successes. And it's been great to get to work as a team, a larger team, at PLC Plus time with some of these similar goals. We also started some new mentorships with 2 elementary schools between grade 8 and St. Gabriel's and St. Paul's. So again, trying to build those transitions backwards to engage students when they are even younger. We want to improve that rate where students leave us and either go to post-secondary or enter into the workforce. So future goals in this area will include an increased enrollment and successful attainment of more students in academic streamed courses. We also really want to improve the rate and the number of diploma exams that students are writing. So to earn their high school diploma, they need to write English and social studies, but one of the things that is also tracked is how many other courses they're taking and engaging with at the diploma level. We would like to improve that and improve their retention. On our October 2019 accountability report card, the results indicated that we did improve our high school completion rates. So those are an upward trend. We want to keep that up. And we've also seen a trend that we are decreasing school dropout. So that is a positive. We are going to continue to engage in events such as the ELA, which is where we have post-secondary institutions come and visit students. Our students as young as grade 9 go and attend that so that they can start to plan forward for their futures. And we want students to have authentic and inclusive experiences. So something we have worked with our vocational education students on is not just having work experience within the school, but also outside in the community to make those transitions. Thank you.
We value learning in community. Our principal, vice principals, school counselors, classroom support teachers, liaisons, educational assistants, coaches, and everyone in the building work together to make sure we are all on track for graduation. In Fort McKay, we have access to attend extra help sessions in the community since it is difficult to come to town for Tutorial Friday. We appreciate how our school works to provide as many opportunities as possible. Our school takes their responsibility for our learning very seriously, and they proactively welcome all learners. They also look for ways to help us transition into adulthood, including the RAP program and also post-secondary application support. I feel supported at school.
Thank you. And certainly another piece that goes along
We value learning in community.
Another piece that goes along with that is having that teacher and student wellness. So Ms. Lane is going to speak to that.
At Father Merck, we acknowledge that a whole school approach to wellness is essential. We use our school-based data to guide us in planning our health school initiatives and our goals. Our main goal is to promote positive working relationships and healthy lifestyles so optimal learning is achieved. Healthy students, we all know, perform better if they are Our healthy students perform better on all levels of academic performance, education behavior, and cognitive skills and attitudes. We work in partnership with our Apple School representative, Jenna Power, and many other local personnel and services that offer mental health support for all of our staff and students. Apple Schools has also provided a DPA bin for each homeroom class for our students. Classes have been introduced to new and healthy foods through taste tests in our school. We provide daily snacks in our office We try our very best to provide Choose Most Often foods to model good food choices for our trappers, as the elementary schools do. Our multiple academies, our phys ed and athletics department, along with our many extracurricular activities, provide a plethora of opportunities for our students to engage in an active lifestyle. Our school chaplain, Sherry Finney, is a blessing to our school, along with the chapel at the front of our building, which has been visited many times this year. Sage fills the hallways on many occasions, and smudging is a common traditional form of cleansing the mind, body, and soul at our school. Students are met with daily reminders of their worth and prayer, which permeates the building with hope each morning. It is common knowledge at Father Mark that our faith is an outlet that everyone can wholeheartedly resort to when in time of doubt or adversity. We have had a couple hardships this year, and our counseling staff and CSTs have provided the extra wraparound support needed for our staff and students. For that, we are very thankful. Our school loves to provide a sense of belonging to each and every student who walks the halls and enters the classrooms. Inclusion is highly prioritized, and every gender, culture, and race is celebrated at every opportunity we get. We encourage leadership and service projects. For staff, we know that if our staff is well, then the result is an increase in attendance, better staff engagement, more productivity of staff, and in turn then the students, and an overall positive school culture. Our teacher-led health champions in the school provide guidance and direction towards healthy living. Staff are provided opportunities to engage in weekly Get Active challenges and monthly wellness challenges. We take many opportunities to empower the staff with coffee, water, and themed treats, because we all know teachers like coffee and treats. We like to incorporate wellness activities and games in our staff meetings to promote community, laughter, and positivity. Staff attendance and participation in these endeavors are very encouraging. All in all, we have implemented many measures to move forward with our plan to prioritize the well-being of our Father Mark family. We all belong, we are trappers, we are family. Our main goal is to support our Father Mark family as best as we can through instructional leadership, collaboration, and unity as we overcome every failure or loss and celebrate every success together. Together, as a team in education, we are healthier and stronger. And now you will see a video of one of our this year's graduates, Anna, who will speak to some of our health initiatives at Mark.
We value persons and well-being. There are supports in the school for self-care and well-being of students and also the school staff. Our teachers work hard to include activity into school. Some grades this year did trips to the ski hill, spirit days, and our friendship groups as some examples. Our grad retreat was a great opportunity to take care of our spirits. Our school always encourages us to do activities that are healthy. This includes academies, athletics, and our school robotics teams. The staff also make sure there are lots of healthy snacks in the office. There are a lot of ways to be involved as a trapper, and we know that supports are available.
Then I'll hand it over.
We value persons.
It will speak to more to
I
our
feel
faith.
like we almost mimicked as well here, so now it's back to me. And of course, last but certainly not least is our faith development. So the word purpose is there because we know that Ms. McConnell said that we send our children out to the world of work, but we do have to understand that a Catholic school sends the student out with purpose. And that is also, of course, one of the most important things that you could ever offer a child is that they recognize that their worth, they're bringing something to the world, they're going out to make it a better place, and they have a purpose set upon them by being a child of God. So they go forward. This picture was actually taken at our grad retreat, which was, you heard Anna, the student, just before speak about it. We had 64 students participate, and it went swimmingly except for when we all went and played hide and seek, and we may have forgotten about one. But anyway, we found them. So everything's okay. But again, it was filled with joy. The kids got to see the school in a different light as well. Lisa talked here when she talked about faith development, about the data gathered, and we looked at actually together at some of the 7 and 9 data. So 7s and 9s are working their way through, like you said. Do they know where they belong? Do they know what their purpose is? Do they know they're a child of God? These things, again, are just part and parcel of growing through. But then when you go forward to the 10 to 12 data, it seems that our students have really taken hold of that and have learned and find their focus and are ready to move forward. And then when you look at the parent data, I said if we were like half as good as they think we are, we're great, because our parent data is just exceptional. Just before, there's a few more things, of course, that we do in our faith development. We, of course, work very hard, like Jana said, to provide a safe, caring, and inclusive environment, not just for the kids, but for the parents as well, because we have to remember that it's hard for parents sometimes because of what they've been through. You say, hey, do you want to come in for a visit? And do you want to come meet with me? No. And you're thinking, well, that hurts. But you have to remember they might not have grown up and have that safe place. So we work not just with the students, but all our stakeholders to make it safe and caring. We provide students with the opportunity to celebrate their faith. Like we said, we have regular liturgical celebrations. As a staff, we have PLF masses. We have service projects, a lot through Santa's Anonymous. Grad retreats, spiritual development day, again as a staff and district, but we are looking at planning that as a student spiritual development day, and that would be through, like we just said, our chaplain. We need to develop the teacher capacity that talks about truth and reconciliation, and we do, again, want to highlight the word reconciliation, as it is one of the greatest sacraments that the Lord could ever offer us, is the fact that we can make errors and be forgiven and still be a whole child, and He will hold us and bring us back to where we need to be. We did recognize that we need to do some work at Father Mercury with our, we need to be more involved with our parish, in the sense we need that relationship. I know that we said COVID kind of severed some of that, so we need to work on that, and we understand that, and bringing the parish back into the homes, because it is a full effect. And again, you'll see our final, this slide that just of the grad retreat, if we can just go back one. One of the kids at grad retreat, we were asking them, because we're in different groups, we said, what do you want from this grad retreat? And they said, well, essentially, we want to know who we were, who we are, and who we will become, because it feels like 3 different people, but we do know that God will guide us to be there. So it was very powerful to hear that from a student. I was running a small group, and that came up. So if you just want to do that. And hear from a student that will be graduating in 2027.
We value persons and responsibility. I joined Father Mercury for grade 7. Attending as a Catholic school is what has helped to shape some of my beliefs. I feel that the teachers and staff at Father Mercury encourage us as trappers to be cooperative with others and discuss how we can value ourselves and use our gifts. Our school chaplain leads us in prayer and has also come to our classroom for Ask the Chaplain. We have opportunities to participate and read in our school liturgies. We also got to help out at Santa's Anonymous, our school's social justice project. Our teachers really respect us and care about us as students and as individuals.
Good point when she talks about Ask the Chaplain. So our chaplain does go into classrooms. Also, our chaplain is quite good at pastoral counseling, so that helps us in that capacity, because again, the forgiveness aspect is always so important for our kids. And we do, again, base everything on we value persons, community, learning, and responsibility, which is our 4 core values as a district. So all our schools work on that. So that brings us to the end. We did have a slide that said, looking forward, or what next steps is, which was so funny because we deleted it because we thought we ran out of time, and we probably are over time. But of course, we will continue to look at data. We'll continue to look at our strengths, but also in our areas that we need to grow. We do understand those areas and are looking forward to getting there together. So if you have any questions, we're ready.
probably should have asked it earlier, but it was an easy one. I didn't know what was the DPA bid in each? Is that what is that?
DPA, daily physical activity.
Oh,
Sorry. So, yeah, I guess we forget all these acronyms
I haven't
that
done
we
acronyms
utilize,
at work,
we just
though.
throw them out there.
Yeah.
It just sounds so much more important.
It's a bunch of gym equipment they take out to the field, and then we go out and gather it back.
They don't bring it back. Not yet.
It gets us our daily physical activity.
That is the truest thing we've said tonight. Kids take it out, we put it back.
There are competitions among classes about who's gonna end up with the most balls, but we share.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I have one question. You've been talking about literacy and numeracy and how blurring the sort of classroom borders. Do you have an example of, how someone that perhaps isn't teaching mathematics is working to bring numeracy into?
Well, actually, we spent our last two staff PLF times working in groups you wouldn't consider traditional. So we had our phys ed department working with middle school English teachers or whatever the case may be, and they were we were working through a document gathering all of the different activities that they do in their classrooms or in their learning spaces where they actually are pushing the kids with their literacy or with their numeracy skills. So we were focused 2 Fridays ago mostly on the literacy aspect. And then as you heard Ms. Trombley talk about her and her teaching partner working together to find ways to blend numeracy skills into what is traditionally social studies and language arts. So you might be looking at mapping skills or things like that, or spatial relations stuff in social studies that you can bring in. Mr. Cholin, our welding teacher, talked about measurement and how that's a form of numeracy and things like that. So we just wanted them to recognize that it isn't just the English teachers that teach them how to read and write or build on those skills. It's all of us together.
So all the teachers have access to that data. So if you taught a student, when you teach a student that data for your reading levels, et cetera, and numeracy, you have access. So if you're teaching, I don't know, welding, and you don't understand why this student, I always say, well, did you check the results? And did you check to see about their reading or their language and all these other things? Because it could be that simple. And the simpler the answer, the quicker we can fix it. Right?
And they recognize that those reading skills impact their ability to do the modules that go along with the welding. So that is a conversation we will have all the time is well, are they reading at level and what are you going to do if they're not?
Okay.
It was one of our most successful PLC days when we mixed and put people specifically where we thought they needed to be and to have that conversation. It was actually great.
We actually had 2 phys ed teachers who ended up leading the group they were in talking about literacy. And then when the phys ed teachers got back together, they stopped talking about literacy. But when they were in a group and they were talking about literacy, 2 of them in particular got really excited. And one of them is reluctant to reveal this, but he has an English degree, so he has the skills.
That was a good question, Monty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just have one other
Yeah.
question. Just more interest out of the stats or the data. You said that the graduation rates were going up, but is that year over year? Does it kind of come down once in a while, or has it been just growing every year?
They weren't tracked officially past couple years, so I guess that would have ended. I believe that data tracking was about 2018. So then we've in-house tracked it. Hard to say because of COVID, so what some of those rates really may have looked like. But now coming out of it, we will continue to track to see if it is going down, up, what it might look like.
So it isn't an exaggeration to say, and I'm sure Holy Trinity is the same, that we track every day. We check every day because you need to know where they're going because of slip and then you're catching up. So the grade 12 principal does. And of course, we track credits as well. We teach the kids how to read their own DAR so that they know where they sit credit-wise. Even if I'm disciplining a student, I pull out their attendance and their deep and their dark and because the whole point is I'm not disciplining you because I enjoy it. I'm trying to set you on the right path so that you get a high school diploma and find your purpose, which is the whole point of this every day. And then we pray together, or I think we pray together, maybe I'm just praying, but anyway, and off we go to make our way. But again, tracking is an everyday occurrence for both high schools, and they're good at it.
Well, thank you all very much. I feel like I could just reiterate what I said to Holy Lisa, to Father Lisa, and her team. We very much appreciate all that you do every day to ensure that the safety and security of our students, and that they leave us, leave us and move on in a better place. And as somebody who goes around, like throughout Alberta, talking to other trustees, it's apparent how well our high school leaders do with our students, and taking them forth, leading them, push, pull, or drag out into the world to be better citizens. And so we thank you. We thank you for all that you do each and every day.
It's fun.
So we did write a prayer to end the meeting.
So if you could please join us in prayer. In the name of God. Dear Lord, thank you for your promise that when two or more come together in your name, you are with us. Thank you, Lord, that you've been with us throughout this presentation and that you're with us all right now. Inspire us as we leave the board meeting tonight, and remind us to love you and serve you always. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to visit?
Thank you all very much. You're welcome to leave if you so desire. As we know, it's a long day. Just follow in the ball.
I will.
We all have a fabulous week.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Trustee John, just to kind of give you a sense of, you asked about completion rates, we've been consistently in both our high schools, been very high over the last, at least 5 years.
Yeah, I know.
Ranging from mid to high 80s into the 90s recently, both for our general population and exceptionally high at 88, 91 for our First Nation students too. So.
See what my kid likes these so much. Thank you.
We move now to item number 10, items for decision.
Same as the last board meeting, Madam Chair, we continue to get the approvals of these locally developed courses that our high schools offer in elective courses for students to take to provide a variety of education. And so we continue to reach out to other school divisions of the province to get approval. And so these come before you again this evening as part of the plan of action for your approval so that they can offer these courses and get renewed again for another period of time.
Thank you. So I would ask for a trustee, please, to make a recommendation.
Be it resolved that the Fort McMurray Catholic Board of Education approve the following locally developed courses to run from September 1st, 2022 through to expiry of the authorization period for each course, with the authorized resources as per the course outlined as follows: Competencies in Math 2022, Technical Theater 2022, Musical Theater, Psychology Abnormal.
All in favor? So moved. Thank you, Trustee Hinton. We move now to reports. ACSTA trustee report. I don't have anything to report this month as our director meeting takes place on the 19th and 20th of May. However, Trustee Higdon and I were just part of the Alberta Catholic School Trustees Association Blueprints Retreat, as well as Superintendent McGuigan, our faith formation lead Jody Seymour, and the chaplains from the 2 high schools, Sherry Finney and Chris Polson. I think I got everybody there? I did, right? Okay, yes. Again, it was an amazing experience. We were led in facilitation by David Wells, and it was a truly inspirational experience, and one we look forward to continuing to imbue throughout our division. With respect to the ASBA trustee report, that would be Trustee Galanzowski, and she is not here unfortunately to report this evening, so we will wait for her report next month. And CCSC trustee report.
We will be meeting this month on May 30th, so we will kind of include in our June meeting from that meeting.
Excellent. And our next and final regular board meeting for the 2021-2022 school year is on June 13th. Until then, I would ask for a trustee to move us into adjournment, please.
I move us into adjournment.
Thank you, Trustee Janvier. All in favor? So moved.